welcome back. We're getting so into our topic, our discussion today. Even our camera woman, I had to tell her that she might want to. She's getting so into what we're discussing. I told her she might have to pull it down a little bit because she would override the audio of us up here. But this is a topic that you just really get into, because I think we've all been directly affected by this kind of mindset.
Yes.
And so what Sonia was just discussing and just asked is, sometimes do we shun those kinds of people because our self-righteousness and our, as one of our viewers called it yesterday, an uppity attitude, that uppity attitude is really just for show, because we realize that maybe if we did get close to those people, we know that instead of us pulling them up to where they need to be, that they would pull us down. So that's something to think about. And we can't address this topic without addressing the fact that pride and self-righteousness go hand in hand.
Yes.
Proverbs 16:18 through 19 tells us that pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. Better it is to be of a humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that pride sets in and convinces us that we have reached a certain place in the Lord and in our walk with God. So if that happens to us, what then is the next step? What does God begin to do to open our eyes?
Well, I think that we begin to self-destruct. Don't you think? When we get to the point that we think we're better and things start happening to us, God allows things to come into our life to bring us down to the point that we've got to get to.
Right.
And honestly and truly, it's because of the things we chose to do, so really we're self-destructing. Is that right?
In a way, yeah. God, it's as if God says, okay, you've reached that certain place, let's see if you can
withstand.
Let's see if you can operate in that. Because even in Jesus' ministry, he remained very humble, and he remained connected, involved with those who the church would not connect and involve themselves with. But he was confident in himself to know that they would not affect him in a negative way, that he was impacting their lives. And so I think we have to ask ourselves this question, what is the fruit of our lives toward the people that we're around? Are we seeing testimonies of just because people are connected with us that their lives change? I think it's easy when you're hanging around a bunch of quote-unquote church people all the time who know all the churchy things to say and do. We can get in those kinds of cliques and we feel a little bit better about ourselves. But if we were to be hanging around, the sinner people or people who just really needed God, do we have fruit of that in our lives? And that's a very staggering question for me to address for my own self, because being a pastor for 10 years, a senior pastor, full-time ministry for 10 years, I can see where even in my own ministry, this was at work in my life. So we have to really question, first of all, our effectiveness. Are we being as effective in sinners' lives as we should be? The Bible says we're the salt of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And so everywhere we go, it should be like adding salt to something you're eating. Everywhere we go, we should bring
the flavor.
We should, every crowd that we're hanging around with, whether you're at the ball game or whether you're, out with friends, whatever you're doing, you should be bringing the flavor to the situation.
We shouldn't have to say anything or do anything in particular when we're in a crowd where there is quite a barbecue center people or whatever. We ought to be able to jump right in there with them and just our our actions, our lifestyle, our way of living, convict them of what they're doing without us ever opening our mouth. They ought to see a light in us. They ought to taste the flavor of the salt, you know, coming out of us that just encourages them to change their life without us saying a word. And so often we get so caught up in this holier-than-thou aspect that we have to open our mouth to tell somebody when they're doing wrong or open our mouth to condemn somebody. Jesus didn't come to condemn. He comes to convict and change lives. Well, we need to be doing the same thing. Yes, there's a fine line there. We, as ministers of the gospel, have to tell people. You know, that's our job. We have to tell the truth. Confront sin for what it is. But in a crowd where, I mean, especially when we've got people around us and there's a group, you know, you don't always have to be, I don't know how you want to say it. You don't have to always be, you know, telling people everything that they're doing wrong.
Like coming in with a Christian T-shirt on and a bumper sticker, and this whole mindset that you've come to fix everybody.
Yeah.
You've come to just point out everybody's flaws.
Right.
And when that happens, when people are around you, then they begin to feel underneath you. They begin to feel that you have reached a place that just they can never reach, that they'll never be as quote-unquote perfect.
So can we really connect with them when we're like that?
Not really.
No.
And really, when you take on this mindset, the first thing that happens is important and key relationships start to push away. You start to build up walls.
Yeah.
I had begun to take on that mindset as a pastor in the last few months, and especially the last year of my ministry. I think I had projected such an unattainable place of perfection in ministry because my personality is a perfectionist. I'm very detail oriented, and so I like everything to be a certain way. So in ministry, if you got outside of that pattern that I had for how the ministry should operate, then I was hard on people as a leader. And so I had, not knowing it, looking back now, I could see I had built up walls to the people that I should have been the closest to.
Yes.
And I had built up walls, and I had given them the mindset of the second topic that was presented itself to us. I had given them a mindset that they could not even reach or attain that level of perfection that I was demanding in ministry. And what it all boiled down to is I wasn't attaining the level of perfection that I wanted for myself.
Right.
And so in turn I projected that onto others.
Yes.
And so really when we get over this self-righteous mindset and we begin looking at people lower than we are, it's really because we don't see ourselves as God sees us. We're not living up to our own personal goals, and so then we start to project that onto other people. And I think if we would sit back and realize that the people who need us the most are the people that we are making them feel less than. We're making them feel like they can never be as good as us.
Yeah.
They can never be as close to God as us. There should not be levels. We should not walk in a church and be measuring people by, oh, well, she's way closer to God than I'll ever be. I'll never be able to reach that place. Instead, we should be looking at life as, God, I want to get as close to you today as I can for me and to change me. And then when I'm changed, in turn, I'll be able to change.
Well, so many times we look at other people at church or living such a close Christian life. And especially when we're just starting out as Christians, I think that's one of the reasons that we don't have a huge turnaround where people that get saved on Sunday don't stay saved but 2 or 3 weeks, because they're looking at these people that have got it together, so to speak, and think that they can never reach that. It can never be attainable. And I think that we don't need to look at other people and say, oh, I wish I had what they had or whatever, because God is going to give us all that we want. If we'll soak ourselves into Him, if we will just focus on Him instead of focusing on other people, God is going to give us everything that He wants us to have. He said He would never leave us nor forsake us, and that He would supply all of our needs according to His riches and glory. Well, you know, His riches and glory are to get close to Him. His riches and glory are things that we need, the fruit of the Spirit, the gifts of the Spirit, the relationship. He's got all that to give to us. We just need to focus on getting close to Him and seeing what He's got for us instead of comparing ourselves to other Christians out here in the world, because, I mean, we don't know what they went through to attain what they've got.
That's true.
We have no idea the life that they've had to live to get up here to this higher level of, and I don't want to say a higher level, that's for a lack of words, a higher level with the Lord, you know. I guarantee you, if people look at other people and seen this higher level, so to speak, but then had to, just say you disguise this person over here with a higher level, and then over here they look at this walk that they had to trudge through to get through, even bow their heads of a night. It was a trudge. Maybe they got beaten and by a spouse or something. And over here they're seeing this bad life, but over here they're seeing this really good Christian person. They would never ever connect this person right here to going through this right here. Yeah. But this right here is what got them to this right here. You know, they probably would never choose this life of hardship.
Well,
it
all goes back to how we want the reward, but we don't want the suffering that you have to go through to get the reward.
Right.
And that's very important to what you're talking about in addressing this situation. That's very important.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what it takes to other people to get to those quote-unquote levels that they are in God. We'll sit tight right there. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back and finish out our last segment. And I want to let you know we're not able to chat for some reason in the room back to you, but we are seeing your comments. So keep those comments coming. We're going to check on that as soon as the show is over today, but we'll be back with you